In this tutorial, we will demonstrate how to use the GeoLocate Collaborative Georeferencing Client, or COGI, to georeference natural history specimens. For information about how to set up a COGI community or add specimens to a COGI community, see these resources. To get started as a georeferencer, you first need to register on the Collaborative Georeferencing site. Click Sign Up, enter your information, and click the Create Account button. It might help you get approval more quickly if you enter the name of the project or institution for which you'll be georeferencing in the organization field. Once you've created an account, contact your supervisor so they can invite you to the COGI community. You should receive an email invitation once they have done that. Make sure to accept your invitation. Once you've accepted your invitation and your supervisor has assigned specimens to you, you can get started with georeferencing in the COGI web client. Open a browser and go to this link. Enter your COGI username and password into the appropriate boxes on the bottom left of the page. Then click Login. You will see one or more options of COGI communities for which you can georeference. Select the desired community and click the Continue button. If you don't see any communities listed in the center box, contact your supervisor. To view a specimen for georeferencing, click the Next Records button. You should now see your first specimen's locality description on your GeoLocate workbench. Notice the Workbench tab on the far left. The locality that you're georeferencing will be highlighted. Any records that have a similar locality description will be compiled in the Similar Records or Identical Records options just below your target locality. The number of similar or identical records is indicated in the parentheses. If there is a similar record to your locality, click the plus sign next to Similar Records. On each similar record, compare the locality descriptions to your highlighted locality to determine whether the similar specimen should be georeferenced along with your highlighted specimen. Ask yourself, do they indicate the exact same place? For example, these specimens all mention the city of Eugene. However, they all mention different specific locations in or around Eugene, and none of them match the specific location of the highlighted locality. So we will not georeference any of these at this time. If you did find specimens that would be appropriate to georeference together, check the box next to the similar specimen record. Otherwise, do not check the box. If there is an identical record to your locality, click the plus sign next to the highlighted locality, then click the green catalog number of the record to open the specimen's details in a new tab or window. Then click the plus sign next to the identical record. Right-click the catalog number of the record and select Open in New Tab to open up the individual specimen's details in a new tab. Compare the habitat field of the potentially identical record to the habitat field of your highlighted record to determine whether they should be georeferenced together. If one of the specimens could be pinpointed to a more specific degree due to the habitat information, then you would not want to georeference both specimens together. For example, if one specimen was found in the same city but it said on a hillside, and another specimen in that city said along a creek, you might want to georeference those two separately. If you determine that the specimens should be georeferenced together, check the box next to the identical specimen record. Otherwise, do not check this box. Once you have assessed any similar or identical records, you can georeference your highlighted locality. GeoLocate will attempt to georeference your specimen by comparing key phrases in your locality description with information stored in its gazetteers, which are internal lists of places. The green point is GeoLocate's best guess for the locality of the specimen. You may also see red points, which are alternative guesses. To view the reasons why GeoLocate selected these points, click the Number Possible Locations Found tab to the right of the Workbench tab. From here, you can compare the points' locations on the map to the highlighted locality description, and thereby determine whether any of these points could be a good starting point for your georeferencing. The information in all caps after the word pattern indicates which phrase was used to place the point. For example, when we used the following locality, GeoLocate gave us the following results. When deciding whether to use one of the GeoLocate points, Make sure to check that the state and county where the point has been placed matches the state and county indicated by the record. It is possible that none of the points indicate the correct locality. In this case, ignore geolocate's points and search for the location on your own using a Google search, map, or other resources. Some helpful resources can be found at this website. Either starting with a geolocate point or from scratch, use the highlighted locality description to determine an approximate collection location of the specimen. This will likely require searching other references such as Google Maps for location and feature names. To use a point from geolocate, click on that point so it turns green. You can then drag this point to the desired location. Alternatively, you can click the bubble next to Place Marker to set a brand new point. You can change the base layer or the type of map shown in the geolocate window by clicking the plus symbol in the upper right-hand corner of the window and selecting one of the options. These maps can be great tools to help you find specific and even sometimes historic locations. The Mapnik layer can be helpful for finding trails, mountains, county lines, and the boundaries of parks and natural areas. The Topo and Google Terrain layers can help you determine the extent of canyons, mountains, and other topographical features. The Esri USGS topo maps will even show the names of valleys, canyons, meadows, creeks, peaks, and township range section data from the Public Land Survey System when applicable. To measure a distance on the map, click the button next to Measure and click a starting point on the map. You can then move your cursor anywhere on the map and a line will be measured between those 2 points. The length of the line will be shown in green next to the line. To measure between more than one point, click again to anchor another point. To stop measuring, double-click on the ending point of your measurement. To manually change the latitude, longitude, or uncertainty radius, click the Manual Edit button on the bottom right side of the workbench. This is where you can paste coordinates that you copied from another source. If you have seen a similar locality in the past and you want to copy the coordinates that you previously used on a georeference, you can use the History tab. We will explain how to use the History tab momentarily. Once you have found an approximate location for the specimen record, click the button next to Place Marker and click the map where you want to place the geolocate point, if you have not already placed it. Where you place the point should be determined by the guidelines provided in the Georeferencing Quick Guide table. You can find this table here, and it should be followed closely. If there's not enough information in the locality description to assign an approximate point, click the plus sign to the left of the description. Then click the catalog number of the specimen. This will take you to the specimen record. Look for more information on the specimen record, like the habitat, for any information that might help you georeference the specimen. If you are still not able to assign an approximate point from this information, but you do think someone else may be able to georeference this record in the future, click the Clear Workbench button followed by the Next Records button. This will remove the specimen from your workbench, but it will still be available for other georeferencers in your community. If you think the specimen's data are insufficient for anyone, even an expert, to georeference the specimen, click the Skip Selected button and type Cannot Georeference with a brief explanation of your reasoning in the pop-up window. For example, if only the county is provided, enter Locality Imprecise, Cannot Georeference in the Reason for Skipping box. Once you've placed your point, you will need to set an uncertainty radius or create an error polygon to indicate the uncertainty of the specimen's locality. The size of your radius should be determined by the guidelines provided in the Georeferencing Quick Guide table. To edit the size of the uncertainty radius, click the green point on the map and select Edit Uncertainty in the pop-up box. Click and drag the gray arrowhead that will appear on the outer rim of the circle to resize the uncertainty radius. To create an uncertainty polygon, click the button next to Create Polygon and click on the map where you want to begin drawing the polygon. A corner of the polygon will be created each time you click on the map. To finish the polygon, double-click. Once you have completed the polygon, click the green point again and select Resize Uncertainty to Polygon. To redo a polygon, click the Clear Polygon button. Because they take so long to create, you should only create polygons for long or oddly shaped localities like rivers, creeks, or roads. Click the Add Comments button on the bottom left side of the workbench. Explain your reasoning for placing the point and setting the uncertainty radius in the pop-up field. You do not need to explain that you followed the protocol, but you should explain any assumptions you made during the process. Here are some good examples of helpful georeferencing comments. When you are confident in your geolocate point and uncertainty radius, and you have added comments in the Add Comments field, click the Correct button on the bottom left side of the workbench to save your work. Then click Next Records to start a new one. One last Koji tool that you will find helpful when you georeference is the History tab. The History tab is used primarily for two purposes. One, to fix a record that you previously georeferenced, or two, to import coordinates from a specimen that you already georeferenced into a different specimen's record. Here's how you can do both of these things. Click the History tab. To search for a specific locality that you previously georeferenced, click History Filter below the Get History button. In the new window, check the box next to the filter that you would like to use. You can either filter by records that were georeferenced to somewhere within the map area, or you can filter by records that contain a certain keyword in the locality description. You can also search by both of these filters at once by checking both boxes. Click the Close button, then the Get History button on the left side of the History tab. You will then be shown a list of records that you previously georeferenced and that match your search criteria. Records in light blue are those that you changed previously, while records in dark blue are currently accepted georeferences for the particular specimen. If you want to find a record that you previously georeferenced, click on the record that you would like to fix and then click the Move to Workbench button. This will move the specimen back to your workbench, and you can georeference it using the regular georeferencing protocol. Click the Correct button, as usual, once you have georeferenced the specimen. If you want to import coordinates from an old record into a new record, click the record from the list that has the coordinates you would like to import. A gold point should show up on the map. If you don't see a gold point, you may need to move green or red points around. Sometimes the gold point is hidden beneath one of the existing points. Click on the gold point, which will turn it green. Then click the Workbench tab to move back to your workbench. Continue georeferencing as before. The values that you start with in the Calculated Coordinates box will be those that you imported, so you can either modify or retain these coordinates moving forward. Always make sure to click Correct to save your work once you've placed your point and set your error radius. And that's how you georeference in Koji.